At the start of this year, I was homeless. I was sleeping on, my friend's sofas, my friend's floors. That was really hard. Like, you feel this sort of like pressure to be, constantly kind of like socializing with them in a space that isn't your space. And that was difficult. And then going to like write my dissertation, very, very difficult to sort of manage and stuff. I've been campaigning on the housing crisis for long before that happened. And I think, even though I was very aware of kind of like the issues and the fact that kind of like this can end up happening to anyone, I kind of still felt like it wouldn't happen to me, and then it did. And even though, again, like I'm saying, it's in no way a personal failing at all, it kind of feels like it. That's really hard to like deal with. There are a few kind of like different issues. First of all, our institutions are getting their funding cut, and it means that they kind of like, they see where they can make money from increasing student intake and also increasing rent. They don't seem to consider about, taking money away from the Vice-Chancellor's salary at all, which, I think would be quite a smart idea. But that means that they're increasing the student intake of quite a small place, like in Stirling, and they're also putting the rents up. In places like Edinburgh, that can make a huge impact. Edinburgh University is the biggest landlord in Edinburgh. So if Edinburgh University is putting their rents up, rents are going up everywhere, like private rented sector as well. So we've got kind of like a cost-related issue and a numbers-related issue. There aren't enough homes for all of us here, and our institutions are just increasing the numbers without kind of like thinking about that. And we have cost of living crisis going on. People cannot afford these rents, and they keep going up. We had multiple students reach out to us in the solidarity space saying that they were stuck in their home countries. This is a big issue for international students because obviously if they can't find a place to live, and then they're stuck in their home countries and having to join, online classes when they would much rather be in person, living in the place that they're studying in. 12% of students across Scotland have experienced homelessness, and that goes up even higher when we're talking about international students. Another thing that students are having to go through is really long commutes. Obviously, colleges quite often don't have like accommodation. Some colleges do, but even when they do, it's very limited supply. So you've got a lot of students who are travelling very far distances. If you're over 22, then you're having to pay for the bus, and that is like putting costs up. I've heard of students who are not going to their classes because they cannot afford the bus, and that's terrible. That's awful. So, we need free public transport for students across Scotland so that they can get to their classes. There is issues everywhere in terms of like the standard, in terms of like mould and insects and things like that. And quite often students won't know their tenants' rights and won't know that that's something that you can and should be pushing your landlord to fix, and also quite often landlords won't fix them. It's very difficult to get problems like these fixed. We've got a really great tenants union in Scotland called Living Rent. They do amazing things in relation to stuff like this, and it's community based. Like they teach you how to organise and advocate for yourself with your community. So that's really, really good that that's there because it's definitely needed. I think more students should be getting involved in organisations like that. You also have the fact that we don't, like when we're in university accommodation, we don't get the same rights that you get when you're a private renting tenant, in the sense that we don't have any right of notice before people enter our rooms. I know people who were showering, left their key in their room, had accommodation staff come in to their bedroom, leave and lock the door behind them, which then they were stuck because they couldn't get back in their bedroom. So I think, across Scotland, essentially what we need is the same rights in university and college round accommodation that exists in the private rented sector, and we need those rights in the private rented sector to be improved as well. So there's a lot of changes necessary, and there are a lot of really good groups doing a lot of really good work on it, and I think we need students to be much more engaged in that and involved in that. We have been making sure that students know what is happening with their accommodation. Last year we had a rent increase of up to 9% across all of the accommodation, and we were making national news over that, because we weren't going to let this go unnoticed, which is how the university often does it. It will usually increase rent each year. It has these rent review meetings, and in those meetings that is usually the decision that's made, and no one really notices, but yeah, this year we decided absolutely not, like, this cannot happen, and we are going to fight it, and we will continue fighting that.